Neurochemically, avoidant men don't bond through sex the way others do. Why is that? And what does that mean for your relationship? The reason this matters so much is because most women are trying to bond with avoidant men using completely the wrong approach. You're pouring your heart out, being vulnerable, hoping that intimacy will finally break through his walls. But here's what's actually happening in his brain. While you're releasing oxytocin and feeling more connected to him, his stress response is literally blocking those same bonding chemicals from working. It's like you're speaking different languages. You think great sex means he'll finally open up, but for him it was just a dopamine hit, like eating his favorite meal. Satisfying in the moment, but it doesn't create the deep emotional bond you're craving. Now there's actually a completely different hormone that makes avoidant men bond deeply. And when you understand how to activate it during intimacy, everything changes. Instead of him pulling away after sex, he'll start seeing you as his teammate, his partner, someone he wants to protect and keep close. Hi, I'm Gabriel Hart from MyDailyLove, and in this video, we'll talk about why normal bonding doesn't work with avoidant men, the real bonding hormone that actually affects them, and exactly how to turn intimacy into the kind of shared experience that creates unbreakable emotional connection. Number 1. Why normal bonding doesn't work. You see, what most women don't realize is that avoidant men have different brain chemistry during sex. While you're releasing oxytocin, that's the love hormone that makes you feel close and connected, his brain is actually blocking those same feelings. Think of it like this. Imagine you're trying to hug someone, but they're wearing a thick winter coat. Your hug doesn't reach them the same way. That's what happens with avoidant men and oxytocin. Their stress levels are so high that the bonding hormone can't get through. This is one of those things avoidant men never say out loud. When an avoidant man is stressed or anxious, which is most of the time, his brain literally blocks the chemicals that create emotional bonding. So all that cuddling and sweet talk after sex, it's not reaching him the way you think it is. Over the years, I've noticed a pattern. Women will have amazing sexual experiences with avoidant men and think, now he'll open up to me, or now he'll want to commit. But then he pulls away even more and she's left confused and hurt. Here's what's really happening. While you felt closer to him, he just had a dopamine experience. Think of dopamine like eating your favorite ice cream. It feels good in the moment, but it doesn't make you fall in love with the ice cream shop. You just come back when you're hungry again. Number 2, the real bonding hormone for men. There's a completely different hormone that makes avoidant men bond, and most women have never heard of it. It's called vasopressin, and it's released when men solve problems together with someone. Think back to caveman days. Men didn't bond by sitting around talking about feelings. They bonded by hunting together, fighting dangers together, surviving challenges together. When two men faced a scary situation and got through it as a team, that's when they became brothers for life. This happens more than most women realize. Avoidant men need to feel like they're accomplishing something with you, not just doing something to you. The difference is huge, and it changes everything about how sex affects them. Here's what I know about men. If an avoidant man only experiences dopamine with you, you become like his favorite restaurant. He'll come back when he's hungry, but he's not emotionally attached to the building. But if he experiences vasopressin with you, you become his teammate, his partner, someone he wants to protect and keep close. When I talk to men about this, they describe vasopressin bonding completely differently than oxytocin bonding. They say things like, I felt like we were a team, or I felt like she really got me, or I felt like we conquered something together. Now here's where this gets really practical. If you want to trigger vasopressin instead of just oxytocin, you need to completely change how you approach physical intimacy with him. Most women kiss men the way they want to be kissed. Soft, romantic, emotional. But that actually triggers his stress response and blocks the bonding you're trying to create. What you need instead are specific techniques that make him feel like you're both conquering something together, even in that intimate moment. There's actually a program I recommend called How to Kiss a Man that teaches you exactly how to kiss in a way that activates his vasopressin response instead of triggering his avoidance patterns. It shows you step by step how to create that teammate feeling through physical connection. So instead of him pulling away after intimacy, he starts seeing you as his partner, someone he wants to protect and keep close. If you're tired of great physical connection not translating into emotional bonding with your avoidant man, check the link in the description. This could be the missing piece you've been looking for. Number 3, the neurological response pattern. Now here's where it gets really interesting from a psychological standpoint. Avoidant men actually exhibit what neuroscientists call cortisol-mediated attachment disruption during intimate moments. If you've ever noticed that he seems almost different right after sex, maybe more distant, or like he's mentally somewhere else even though his body is right there with you, that's this neurological response happening in real time. This is actual brain science. When avoidant men experience physical intimacy, their stress response system can actually hijack the bonding process. While you're feeling closer and more connected, his cortisol levels might be spiking in a way that blocks emotional attachment. It's like his brain has a built-in defense mechanism that activates right when you think you're getting closer. Most women have no idea this is even happening, but once you understand what cortisol-mediated attachment disruption looks like, the specific behavioral signs, the timing of when it occurs, and how it affects his entire nervous system response, everything about his post-intimacy behavior starts to make perfect sense. And if you want to know exactly what cortisol-mediated attachment disruption means and how to spot when it's happening, comment cortisol disruption below, and I'll explain the science behind this phenomenon. Number 4, turn intimacy into teamwork. From what I've seen, the women who successfully bond with avoidant men during intimacy are the ones who make it feel like a shared adventure, not a performance. Think of it like playing a video game together instead of watching a movie. In a movie, you're passive. You just sit there and let it happen to you. But in a video game, you're both actively working toward the same goal, celebrating wins together and figuring out challenges as a team. Here's how this looks in real life. Instead of just letting him lead everything, you become an active participant. You might say things like, "Let's see how long we can make this last," or "I want to try something new with you," or "Let's figure out what drives you crazy." What I've learned after years of watching men and women is this. Avoidant men light up when they feel like they're exploring and discovering with someone, not just giving someone an experience. The moment you shift from being passive to being his teammate, everything changes. I had a client who once told me her avoidant partner completely transformed when she started suggesting little challenges or goals during intimacy. Instead of just lying there hoping he'd bond with her, she became curious and playful. She'd pause and say, "Wait, let me try something," or "What if we did this differently?" Number 5, talk during, not after. This is what no one tells you about men who actually bond during intimacy. They need communication during the experience, not just cuddling afterward. Avoidant men bond through shared experiences, and talking is part of that experience. Think of communication during intimacy like being workout partners. When you're at the gym with someone, you don't just exercise in silence and then talk about it later. You encourage each other, check in with each other, and celebrate small wins together throughout the workout. Over the years, I've seen how the women who connect deeply with avoidant men are the ones who aren't afraid to pause, laugh, ask questions, and make the whole experience interactive. They might say, "How does this feel?" Or "What should we try next?" Or even just, "This is so fun." Here's what happens when you do this. Instead of him being in his head thinking about performance or technique, he starts being present with you. He starts seeing you as his partner in this experience, not just the person he's having the experience with. The women who tend to struggle most with avoidant men are the ones who think sex should be serious and silent. They're afraid to disrupt the flow or seem inexperienced. But avoidant men actually crave that disruption because it forces them to be present and connected. Now, here's what most women don't realize about everything I just shared with you. Understanding how avoidant men bond during sex is just the beginning. Because once you crack that code and start creating real emotional connection with him, you're going to discover some uncomfortable truths about men that most women are completely unprepared for. See, when you finally get an avoidant man to open up and bond with you, he doesn't just become more loving, he becomes more honest. And that honesty, it's going to reveal things about male psychology that might shock you. I'm talking about the thoughts men have but never say out loud, the way they really see relationships, the things they do when they think you're not paying attention, the real reasons they pull away, even when they love you. Most women think that once they figure out how to bond with a man, the hard part is over. But the truth is, that's when the real education begins. Because now you're dealing with a man who trusts you enough to show you who he really is, and that includes parts of male nature that can be difficult to accept. If I had a daughter, there are 5 uncomfortable truths about men I'd make sure she knew before she got serious with anyone. These aren't things men will ever tell you directly, But they're things every woman needs to understand if she wants to build something real and lasting. Click the video showing on your screen right now to see these 5 truths. Fair warning. Some of this might be hard to hear, but it could save you years of confusion and heartbreak.